I'm going to invite our first speaker today. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Pilo. I'm going to start by saying that I'm very privileged because in this shit show the last 5 years, I've been allowed to capture the stories of you guys and record them. And I've done it in book form now. That's in the National Library now, so we've got a bit of history saved for the future. Do it in videos and do it that. That's just my small part. And the reason I've done it is I think you guys are amongst the bravest Australians that have ever lived. Because before COVID, we all thought we were citizens. And then what the state did was basically say, this is our world, this is our system. If you want to stay in it, you've got to jump through this hoop. You've got to get vaccinated. And basically, they were saying you've got to become a serf. We're going to tell you what you can put in your body. We're going to take away your freedoms. And a portion of Australians said no. And they were expected, I expect, to basically go out into society, get frightened of the loneliness, and come running back to the state with their arms open going, please jab us and let us back in. But instead, here you are, 6 years later. And I know there's a lot of ifing and frying about Carl, but the thing is, Carl is the highest paid newsreader of all time. He is an ambassador for that side. And he said sorry that basically he got it wrong. So what he did was flinch. He had all the money, all the power, and he flinched. You guys had everything taken away from you, and I bet I'm never going to see Jerry here getting on Channel 9 going, oh, I wish I'd taken it. I wish I hadn't studied the science. And so it's basically, he didn't know it, but he held up a mirror to you guys that I think basically said to the world, you guys are the modern rats of Tobruk. You had no resources except each other, and you held your ground, and you're still holding your ground. And I get the privilege of recording some of your stories for that. So I want to thank you for that, because after I lost everything, you guys gave me everything back. So thanks for that. The other thing that I had a great lesson coming up. I had a heart attack. Now, I'd had a lot of heart pain for months, maybe over a year. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell Cal, to be honest. And the reason I didn't want to go to hospital is I didn't like the system, and I thought they'd jab me, and I thought, what's the point? And then one night, outside William Bay's apartment, I had the heart attack, and I thought I'm going to die in this moment. And I didn't. It just passed. It was pretty brutal. And then I looked down at Kel, who was asleep, and I thought, nah, you know what? I want to live. And so called her up, said, take her to the hospital. And there is a great something on our side. And I'll show you how. So I was walking around the middle of the hospital that night. I thought I needed a stent, but they had to rip me open. And I'm walking around in the middle of the night. Cal's gone, of course, and I'm thinking in the morning they're going to rip me open. And I had all these things. I could only walk a little bit. And they had a little library there. And I was contemplating still whether I wanted to go ahead with it, whether I should say, nah, I've had my time, you know, I don't want to be here. I was really contemplating to be or not to be, really. And there was a little library there which had about 15 books. Mills and Boon, other things like that. And then one by, I think it was Solzhenitsyn. And I looked at it and it was called Cancer Ward. I've never read it. And I thought to myself, if this is my last night on the planet, do I really want to spend it reading Solzhenitsyn? Anyway, I opened it up. And you've got to remember, this is the middle of the night, there's no one around. And I opened it up at a random page, and the little paragraph I landed on, I just looked at that. The hero had cancer, and he was walking around his hospital in the middle of the night, contemplating life and death. It was me. And I really felt, maybe I'm delusional, that up there someone said, I know it's tough, but you're where you're meant to be, so have faith. And I did. I had faith from that moment. I mean, I already had some, but I had more faith. And then I just got on the conveyor belt and I went along. But what really interested me was the staff there. I thought they were our enemy. I thought they'd be coming in going, see, you know, and stuff. They didn't know who I was at all. Not even that. They didn't know who Hoodie was. They didn't even know a freedom movement existed. I was there for about 6 weeks. One wardy knew me. In fact, I would go as far as saying they didn't even know there was a need for a freedom movement to exist. And I actually thought this is an opportunity because these people are struggling and we have something they want and we're not marketing it to them correctly. And they're being led into a future, and they all know it, which is not conducive to the human soul. Whereas we are defending humanity itself. We're just saying, even like what you're saying about we think different things, I'll get to that next. I think one of the things we're offering people is the ability to be you. The freedom of choice, freedom of speech are the parents for a freedom that can't be written down, is that if you're courageous enough, you can discover who you are and bring that person who's never existed in history to the fabric or to the great story of humanity. I think that's a beautiful thing to sell. It doesn't come with any money, you can't pay your mortgage, but at least you're you. This is your unique story. And then I started thinking, because I had time to think, about the division in the community. And everyone's saying, we've got to fix it, we've got to fix it. But then I thought, well, what if we turned it on its head and actually saw it as a strength, since we can't fix it? And one of the things that I think might be the division, and these are only my thoughts, I don't have the truth, it's only thoughts, is the black sheep paradox. Now, the black sheep paradox means that when society said, you will do this, you will conform, we said no. Because in our souls, we're black sheep. We might not look the same, but black sheep. We don't like being told what to do, and we don't conform unless we think it's correct. Trouble is, we all now saying, oh, we've got to come together, we've got to come together. But we have trouble doing herds because we're black sheep. And so what I actually think is that one thing we're really missing, and I had a big talk to Adrian McRae, and he said the same. I'm a playwright. And I'm sorry if I wander, but I will stay on target. I'm a playwright, or I used to be. And you can write a play really fast. I mean, within a day, if you have two things, the start, the opening, and the end. Arthur Miller said the same. If he knows the ending of a play, he races through it. But if he doesn't, he can spend 20,000 pages trying to find it. And I think we had a beautiful beginning. COVID, mandates, taking away our freedom, and we said no. And suddenly, organically, we were the freedom movement. All these people who had never met each other before, that was our beginning. But what I don't think we have is a communal destination. Where are we going? And because we don't know where we're going, we're sort of vague on that, we've got a bit lost in that. But I think we can forgive ourselves for that. Maybe we should look at these 6 years that we're in now as an apprenticeship. We're discovering what the world actually is. And it's not nice. Not all of it. They're eating children. We can't even conceive that sort of, imagine sitting here like babies. You want a Hawaiian pizza or do you want a baby pizza? I mean, it's that bonkers. And yet this is what they're doing. This is the evil we're facing. And so I think we should forgive ourselves because we've organically risen up. And I think we've also been called. Because I don't know if anyone here went to Epic. I know you did. When I was in Epic, and you did, yeah, Colin? Epic, I'm telling you, anyone was there. And I recorded the Thursday before the Friday where people turning up. And I was just sticking my phone in people's windows and going, what's your name? John. Where are you from? Mackay. What the hell are you doing in Canberra? And they'd look at me and go, I had to come. It was a calling. And when we were there, Colin will testify this, and so will this little lovely woman here. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. It didn't matter how rich you were, how poor you are, what race you were, what size you were. It didn't matter what religion you believed in. We were all one. And we were joined by those who wanted to oppress us. And for about 36 hours, we glowed. We really glowed. And what I've become to think, from looking at it from my history point of view, is when they shot us at the shrine, that was when the freedom movement was conceived. Around the country, Australians looked at that and said, no, that's enough, we're not putting up with anything more. That was where we were conceived. Epic, in the Epic camp, I believe that's where we were born. We found each other. It was remarkable. Anyone who was there will still get goosebumps from it. And I had this, if you'll grant me permission, I had this poetic thing that I said at the time. I said, what happened in Canberra was so rare that most people go through a lifetime and it never happens. But if you're very lucky, it happens in your lifetime. And if you're incredibly lucky, you're there when it happens. And what happened was a flower bloomed, and the petals were us, and the fragrance was freedom. And everyone was saying after that it started to break down, 22 days, infighting and all that stuff. But I think maybe we didn't see what we were actually there for. We weren't there to storm Parliament and go over and go, Jerry, you're head of arts, Kelly, you're head of sports, and I'm the Prime Minister. We weren't there to do that. Maybe we didn't even know why we were there, we just answered a calling. But I feel that maybe one of our duties was like your grandmother taking a cutting of a gardenia and bring it to her garden. I think one of our duties was to take the luminosity, to take the incredible glow and take it out to the community and glow and share that light. Because I write in all the books now, their darkness fears the light. And the brightest light is the truth. This is why we have to keep searching for it. And I haven't found it yet. But I do think we glow. And I see this man here in this freedom t-shirt, the white t-shirt here, there. I've been saying for ages, we go town after town after town after town. Kelly and I, we've been on the road now 4 years. We don't see those signs much, or hardly at all, unless there's a gathering. And it's like I could take all of you here now, put you in the whacker, and I wouldn't be able to know who was on our side and who was just a member of the public. And the Palestinian protesters do it better. They've been around less than us, but they wear that scarf, so as soon as you knew them, you know what they stand for. And whether you believe it or not, you've got to respect them for standing up to their convictions by wearing a scarf, a uniform. And I'm thinking, this is just from our perspective, if we could find something, 832 we tried with and Hoodie joined in, but that sort of plateaued because a lot of religious people who aren't religious don't like using it. But if we could find something, we're pushing this blue bee now, which anyone can use. If we could find something that we could see that unites us, so if we went into, say, a town, or even this supermarket here, if we went in and 10% of the people here were wearing that symbol, it would spread great courage in all of us. There's more courage in numbers. And when you go into a town like, say, Busselton, so if I go in there, I don't know anyone there, and a few people might go, oh, Michael's here and come to meet me, but if they haven't heard the news, we can go through and think we are the only ones here. And it's very, very fatiguing and hard to keep your motivation up. But if we start seeing it everywhere, then maybe it might grow, because other people might go, what's this symbol? What are these people always wearing? What are they about? And if they start asking us what they're about, well, then we can sell the beautiful thing about us. And the beautiful thing is, look at this. I'm guessing that the majority of you never knew each other before COVID. You know, I was at Colin's party one night, the last time I was here, and I sat back and I looked what this wonderful man had done. Here was a party with all these people, and they were passionately talking about life, about politics, about the future, about tyranny, about what freedom was. I grew up in Australia that never had those conversations. I grew up in Perth for a while, and what we talked about was renovating your house, your mortgage, your trip to Bali, your car, your footy, End of story. That was it. You didn't have these profound conversations with strangers you've never met. I think that's something we can sell to people. People are hungry to talk. They're hungry to understand what's going on. And they're out there now waking up. And we have the product. We can say, listen, we don't know the truth either, but we've been here for 5 years, and we don't care how many jabs you've had. If you're sick of the system and you want something for your grandchildren which is more conducive to their souls, then that's us. That's what we're trying to achieve. And we've all got different ideas of how to do it. And at the moment, we're going through this sort of apprentice where if one of us has a different idea, we don't like them for a period. We're sort of cancelling each other. But I think that's a learning curve. Because we can't start cancelling each other because you think wrong or you think differently, because then we become the people we left. That's what they did to us. And so I think we've got to celebrate the fact that we think differently. I think we've got to debate and have these great debates, and that's what I think we are. I've never known anything like it. I have hung out with giants like Jerry here. I work now with other giants who've left the system. This is only from my point of John Stapleton. You know, I work with that. I work with doctors, but I also work with, I remember in Tasmania, I met an autistic man in his 50s who supported his parents by pushing trolleys. That was his thing, and he didn't take it, and he got his parents not to take it. And they're invalid, and this one man has suddenly lost his job, but he's determined, and he's got no PhD to his name, he's got no idea how to win, but he's one of us. He's one of us, and he has to be respected as one of us. And I think all of us bring different things to the table. There's I've said this before, and I'm sorry if you've heard it. There is the 12 apostles, you know, the great landmark in Victoria. Well, there's only 3 left. And the others didn't get taken down by one big wave or one big earthquake. They got taken down by lots of little waves pounding away constantly. Constantly. We never quit. And if that fails, we try something else. And these little waves, these droplets of water working together, took down these monoliths that looked like nothing could topple them. I think that's what we can achieve. I think that's what we've been achieving. And I think there's victories among us that we don't see. And the victories are small. Like, we have a woman in Maryborough, I think. Is it Maryborough or Milton? Called Margie Muggs. Now, Margie Muggs is about 79 years old, and she makes mugs for all of us. If you get on there, you want a mug, she'll make a mug, your best freedom fighter, anything you want. And then she gets the light newspaper, and she'll deliver it to most of Mildura. She'll take a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000. That's a great hero. Colin here, I'm a theatre maker. If I was a filmmaker, Colin is a great film. Goes to Epic, never protested in his life, becomes King Cole, drives all the way back, gets to the border, like we got to the border, drives across, and then the police are chasing him down like the Blues Brothers. Like he's an enemy of the state. And he's not. He's just a man that loves his country and understands freedom and understands sometimes you've got to fight for it. There was a Kalgoorlie taxi driver from Chile. I met him in Ceduna. Well, that's when we were going to cross the border. And he was there in his taxi, in his uniform, and in a tent. And what had happened is he'd gone to Epic because he'd grown up in Chile. He knew tyranny. He wasn't going to stand for it. So he drove his taxi all the way to Epic. I never saw him there, but I met him in this campsite, and he'd been there for months as a refugee because he'd been told he can't get across the border. He's got across now, but this is the stuff of legends. And in the future, they are not going to write stories, plays, songs, or movies on someone who took 10 jabs and sat there waiting for the government to tell them what to do. Ain't going to happen. And the reason they're not going to do it is no one will want to read it. But they will want to see the stories of Colin. They will want to see the stories of Jerry, and others here too, whatever you're doing. They will want to read your stories. You are the seeds of legends. All of you, no matter what you're doing. And we are not each other's enemy. And that I don't understand. But we are the seeds of legends. And that's why I'm telling people, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe tomorrow the whole of Australia wake up and we'll all be free. Great. My feeling is that these things, like what's happening in Iran, take a long time. It's a slow process. It's like a marathon. And what I think when I look at you people now is that it's a relay marathon. And we have the privilege and the burden of being the first baton runners. And I think it's our job now to start evolving to the next level. We've organically got to here. We've made most of it up as we went along, but we haven't quit. But we got very confused and wondering what to do and got frustrated with each other. Where I think now maybe we start discussing. What have we tried? What failed? What worked? Why did it fail? Is there another way we could turn it around? Who else has ideas that we could do something with? And we start moving up to the next level of basically selling ourselves to the community to allow the community to know we're here. If you've woken up, if you think the world's going to hell, if you feel completely alone, you're not. There is a whole army or family of Australians who are wanting something else, and we're here. Come and meet us. We can be a bit crazy. We can be a bit fun. But that's because we're Australians and we want to be individuals. This thing here, and anyone can use it, this was conceived in Canberra, because I was in Canberra doing the boys' truck thing, and they were found guilty. And there was a barrister helping them that was on the other side. Even he was astounded that they were found guilty so quickly. But I told him, mate, they're us. Of course they're going to find them guilty. It's like To Kill a Mockingbird. They never stood a chance. But when they were there was a lot of people from Canberra, and they told me there's a thing in Canberra, there's a lot of people on our side, but they're imprisoned by a thing called the golden handcuffs. Really good wages, status, good money and everything. They can't be seen to have 832 or any symbol that the government will see, because they'll be sacked. So they said, what you need is a symbol, something we can wear, even if we're wearing it as socks, that'll let us know for ourselves that I am with the side of Australians that are fighting for freedom. And so then we put out to the community, which is what we do, because everyone's got such great ideas. Anyone got an idea for a new symbol that people who don't like 832 could use? And Melissa Hogan, who came up with Daisies for Dazzles, said, have you heard of the blue-banded bee? Which I hadn't. And it's a native Australian bee. It doesn't live in a hive. It doesn't follow a queen, but it still pollinates flowers. So basically it wants to be a productive part of society, but it wants to think for itself. Now, who does that remind me of? Us. And so if you're walking into somewhere, and anyone can use it. So there's groups over New South Wales, Victoria now, they're making their own bees. And it doesn't matter what it looks like, just as long as it's a blue bee. Now, if that doesn't work, if it fails, who gives a shit? We try something else. We just got to keep going. One of the most profound thinkers of our movement is Dr. Bruce Pay. Now, Dr. Bruce Pay, for those who don't know, he's an anaesthetist. He was working in the rescue helicopters, but he's also worked in 6 or 7 war zones. And when he went to Epic, when we were there, despite knowing who he was, the police arrested him on a bogus charge and threw him in jail for 7 days in complete isolation. When he got out, we drove him around the property, drove him around Epic, which was an amazing moment. But the man is still dealing with the great betrayal of what he's been through. His whole country betrayed him. So there's an anger in him. And he does a show Monday nights, which is brilliant. But he's also a military historian. And what he said was, in situations like this, where you have one side who's completely under-resourced and one side that has all the resources, we win by simply never quitting. You can take time off, but we never quit. And this is history teaching us this. And we can look at the Vietnamese, they did it. But if you want to look for another group who also did it, who are closer to home, there was another group in our recent past who basically fell out of society. They didn't want what society was offering them. And they went out looking for something else. And they found each other. And they had no weapons. They had no money. All they had is what we have, each other. But they did have something else. They had a uniform that they organically created. And this uniform allowed all of society to know who they were, see them. If you didn't like them, fine. But if you did, were intrigued, you could go up and talk to them because you could see them everywhere and you knew who they were. And that was the hippies. And you might think, oh, the hippies. But we go to gatherings or even we see protests where they're protesting about anything, they're still wearing the hippie clothes, the paisley tops. They're still wearing it. Their art has survived. They still sing their songs. When I was at Adelaide, I had to do a speech, I think about 750 people, and I sung the Dylan song from those hippie era. And when I stopped at a line, everybody else knew the line and the people sung it. And the purpose of that wasn't to show off my singing skills, which are non-existent. The purpose of that was to show the power of art. Because I don't know who the leaders of the freedom movement were. I've never listened to any of their speeches. I don't even know what their goals were. But I can still sing their songs. And I still see them as a powerful thing. And they literally took over a decade. And I think we have the same thing. I'm not saying we've got to wear tie-dye. I'm not saying we all do free love. But I'm not stopping you if you want to. But I'm saying that I think it's about time for us to be really proud of ourselves. And if we don't have the courage to publicly show who we are, and very few are doing it around the movement, then even though we're not, that communicates that we don't have the courage of our convictions. That's the truth. The Palestinian kids do. And what those Palestinian things, they're searching for purpose. And one thing we did, like this lovely young lady here, she was a part in Melbourne of the Free Hug Army. This was when we had the big marches. And we had streams of people marching all the time. We were all joyous. We all felt we were changing the world, or at least being defiant. And we looked for things to do constantly. And one idea we had was one young man came down, had up a thing, free hugs, and all these people were hugging him. So I said to him, let's set up a free hug army. So I'd walk down one side of the march with a megaphone, spruiking, get your free hug. There'd be another person doing it on the other side, and there'd be an army of people behind us, wasn't there? Yeah, wearing free hug t-shirts. And what we found out, and then next to us as we're walking down, this was the people in masks. This is how they stood. As we're passing, offering free hugs. With all these signs anywhere, staying apart keeps us together. Now one of the grandmothers that helped us was a girl called Tracy. Tracy used to work in Kmart. And she'd be openly honest to tell you that she's never done anything of significance. She was just a quiet worker hidden away. But she became one of the most best free huggers. She would get over 100 hugs a day from vaccinated people. She'd get them to take their masks down. She hugged police. And I saw one of the most beautiful things I saw her do. There was an Indian family, and the mother and the father had about 4 or 5 kids, and they were holding them back. They were in terror of this little grandmother. And she just held out her arms. And the 12-year-old daughter shrugged off her parents and came up and hugged Tracy. This is the stuff of legends. And this is someone with no pedigree. Doesn't have any PhD or anything behind her name. Has never been a great warrior. But now she's constantly she was Daisies for Dazzle, the Vicky woman, she was a big part of that. She gets up and does speeches now, where at the start she didn't have any voice. Now she has a voice. We gave her that. We allowed her to discover the courage that was laying dormant within her. Because like it or not, when I was in hospital, what I realised that if I was a nurse and I was a believer and I took the jab on a Tuesday and it didn't kill me, then that Tuesday was just another Tuesday and I went on with my life. If it affected me, then I found out that I was now on the lowest rung of society. A vaccine-injured person, that's the lowest rung because you just get ignored. But we have been on odysseys. All of you. Every one of you. You've been kicked out of Christmas with your families. Families was a homage for God. If Jerry and I were saying, using you or you, if we were brothers and we hated each other's guts, we'd still come to Christmas and grin and bear it as a homage to love. We just do it. Until Koshi came along and said, what are you going to do with your unvaccinated family members? And he gave people permission to allow fear and hate into Christmas Day as one of the great betrayals. And so you've had to suffer that. I've interviewed a woman in Lightning Ridge, really tough woman brought out there. Her family made her sit on the veranda on Christmas Day by herself. And she still teared up with it. She was struggling not to cry, but that's how profoundly it affected her. Then they lost jobs. They lost careers. They had everyone telling you, we'll put you in a camp. You get sick, don't come to hospital, we're going to let you die. All of that. And you had to find, we did find each other, but for a lot of that, you guys were relying on something most of us didn't even know we had. Integrity, courage, a belief in something greater than ourselves. It's like we were all put on the hill of Mount Sinai. They didn't inform us, but suddenly we're there and they're going, hey, you want your job, you want your house, you want your kids to go to good schools, you want a nice car, you want to go to Trip Your Bali, just take the jab, mate. Or if you want to hold on for your soul, good luck. Here you are. And you're still here. And that's where I find great hope in amongst all you people. I really do. And I really feel that if we could get together now, anyone who's interested, I mean, not everyone will be interested, but if we sat down together as friends, as colleagues, and have huge respect for each other. Because anyone here now who is not buckled, you don't need to prove yourself to any of us. You have earned your stripes. You are veterans of this war. You really are. It doesn't matter how popular you are or not. You are veterans of this war. You are something to look up to. You are giants. You really are. You're giants. You might not feel it because we're travelling a path that we're having to make up as we go because we can't see the route. And we get tired by it and they're constantly attacking us from everywhere. But you're giants. I've never been more proud to be a part of a community, even the part of the community that hates my guts, and there's lots that do that, and that's okay because we're free. And you're free to do what you want. I had a woman at a gathering sit with me and said, I was supposed to introduce you, but I told them I don't want to introduce him because I don't really like him. But now I've listened to your speech, I've turned 180 degrees, and I think you're marvellous. And I said to her, I said, well, that's lovely. And can I be honest? I don't give a flying fuck what you think about me. Because I'm doing this because I know that if my kids have children, that the quality of my grandkids and my great-grandkids' liberty will depend on the choices and decisions that we make now. That's how important it is. We are fighting for Australians that they're not even conceived of yet. And I tell people, if you ever get fatigued, just go quiet. Find a quiet place and go quiet and hear the voices of the Australians still coming. And what they're saying is, don't let us be born into slavery. And that's what we're facing. Even though they hide all of it under Albanese's moronic smiling face, we are facing something incredibly dark. Incredibly dark. And that's why I believe that I'm a part, and I think all of you are a part too, of something incredible, the balance. I believe all around the world, COVID has unleashed or motivated an army of light. We don't have any generals. We don't have any plans. We don't have any weapons. But we have each other. And I truly believe if we can respect that, understand that, forgive ourselves for all the indiscretions we've had and all the little infighting we have, and realise we might be going on different journeys, but we're all heading in the same direction. And the sooner that we get together and decide what that direction is, the quicker I think we'll reach it. But that's it. That's me. I just do what I do. I follow a voice in my heart that says, go there and do that, and I do it. And I'm just going to end on a few little things. Like that story I told you in the hospital, there was another profound moment which made me really think that God is on our side. We were in Coffs Harbour and we were broke. we got down to our last few shekels. And I was thinking, Kelly went for a shower, remember? She goes for a shower at the gym. We shower at gyms. She goes for a shower, and I sat in the bus, and I hadn't told her how broke we were, but she knew we were pretty broke. I sat in the bus, and I just said to the Almighty, and I never pray, mate, if it's over, it's over. We'll just go get jobs. But if you want us to continue, we're going to need some money because we're just broke. A few seconds later, there was a knock on the door of the bus. And I'm talking a few seconds. And I went to the door, and it's Michael O'Neill, the head of Barbara O'Neill's husband, the head of IMOP, and now he's called the Heart Party. And he's a mate. He was driving down to Port Macquarie, driving through Coffs Harbour, got tired, pulled over, went for a walk, got back in the car. Just as he's about to start up, he looked up, and who's on the back of my bus? Dazzle. And he goes, that's Dazzle. And then he went, that's Michael's bus. And then he knocked on my door, and he said to me, how you going? I said, yeah, I'm good, mate. He goes, how you going for money? That's what he said the second time. How you going for money? I said, yeah, we're good, we're good. And he went, come on. And he marched me down to the bank, and he gave me $5,000. I walked back to the bus, and he took off. I walked down to the bus, and I'm looking at this envelope, this miraculous envelope. And Kelly comes back in, and I went, look at this. And I know she thought I took it out of my ass. I don't know where she thought I went. Maybe I went to the pokies. But but the thing was, we've had several moments like this. And it doesn't make me any more special. I think it just makes that I am, like everyone else, a human being, and I have weak moments, I have frailties, and I think sometimes the angels or the good, I don't know how it works, every now and again, they give us a little clue that we're fighting the right fight. And we just got to have faith. And I might be delusional when I reach the end. Maybe heaven is full of dinosaurs and going, what are you talking about? COVID? Never heard of it. But I think we're fighting for something that's really, really, really precious. And that's our very humanity. And I think that's what they're after. They're after the contents of our heart. They want us scared. They want us embittered. They want us fighting each other and full of hate. We don't even know why I hate my brother. They just want us hating. And that's why I did a rant recently about love. I think that is what they want, and that is easy to defend. Because I don't care what they do to me. I am not going to the grave with their hatred in my heart. And that is my own personal decision. Anyway, like I said, I have no answers. I'm just another traveller like you. I just have a bit of a following. That's the only difference. But I have no other answers than the fact that I've decided to follow this voice in my heart and just keep going until it stops talking to me or I die. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I want you to do one last thing, is to consider, and really consider it, every single one of you. If you go back in your Facebook 3, 4 years, 5 years, a lot of your brilliant posts are gone. They're memory holding you already. We need books. We need books. Like if you say did 1,000 words say all of you just did 1,000 words on where you've been from when you heard of COVID to here, they could go into a compendium of the WA freedom fighters, the veterans. And that book can be kept and handed down to a grandkid and a grandkid and go, look, I know it looked like Australia was girt by cowards, but there was a great sliver of courageous fighters, and that's you. And this is their stories. Remember them. And we start cementing our history. Once we start cementing our history, we can really begin to give ourselves a true community. We are something new. That's why people are sending me songs they're writing with AI now. We're getting them in. These are our songs. We don't sing the old songs anymore. We sing our songs, our poetry, our essays, our short clips, our memes, our movies. It's time to start celebrating who you are, and you're worth celebrating. In this time of darkness, you are each a beacon of hope, and I wish you the best as we proceed. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Michael, full of hope. If anybody got questions for Michael, I'm sure he won't mind answering them. But please come up to the microphone so we can hear it on the stream that Richie from Max Freedom is filming here tonight. So anybody want to ask any questions to Michael? Please come here. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Alan.
I don't believe you'll have the answer to this question, but this has been going on for a while. A few people that I've met from Canberra who went to Canberra said that all of a sudden, Hoodie, Greg Kelly, and a number of individuals came out of Parliament House after talking with the Prime Minister, and they said, it is over in Canberra. And then everyone went home. The question I've got is, and this is a general question, I don't believe Michael will have the answer to this, but this question has been really irritating a lot of people. What was the deal they made, and why was it over? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't see it being over.
Yeah, Epic was strange. There was a lot of things going on like that. I was there when they went in. I didn't go in with them. But as far as I know, they didn't meet anybody. They just went into Craig Kelly's office and they sat there. And no one came to see them. What I know from... who was the big guy that... there was another guy on our side in Parliament, he's gone now. And he still does a podcast. A really big, hefty guy, young guy. Yeah. He was in Parliament and he talked to me and he said there was another politician who came up to me and said, have you seen what's coming down the street? And it was us. And that's all I really know. I really don't interact. I interact with Hoodie a bit, that we share stuff like this, but I never found out what was going on in there. What I did see, to be honest, is I saw a lot of people fighting to get on the stage. And I was personally more interested in the pawns. I don't know how the world works. I don't know who's doing this and who's doing that. I don't have Trump's number on my phone. I don't have Netanyahu's email. All I know is I have people before us here without the same knowledge that I have trying to change the world, and I capture their stories, and I don't get into the bullshit above me. So I'm sorry I can't answer your question.
Thank you for your honesty on that. And the reason I bring this up, it's not just for me, it's also a question that a lot of our media groups have not gone to ask yet, and we really should, is what really happened there. And in support of the rest of us, will you be also helping us try and find out what happened there?
To try what happened at, what do you mean?
As in finding out exactly what they said, done, or, you know, asking more questions to those people.
I think the best thing to do is just send Hoodie an email or send Craig Kelly. As far as I know, that was it. The other thing, a lot of money went missing from Epic. No one ever talks about that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cops never followed it up. We don't know. I think people, what happens with this, and this is what I was saying before, people think Epic was where we were going to take over, where they'd listen to us. I mean, the marches and Epic was really the state going, do what you want, you little tantrum kids. We're still going to do what we want. You are powerless. I don't care how many people come around the world. You're powerless. And that's, I think, was the meeting for us. But I wasn't a part of the echelon. And to be honest, I don't deal with any of that. It's not really my bag. And it's because I think this is the stuff that fucks us up. We actually should be concentrating on moving forward. I mean, Bossy and Hoodie were fighting over each other. It was like they were having a who's got the biggest stick competition. We had 2 stages, we had this. I hated all that stuff, to be honest. But to me, they were good men. Bossy believed what he was doing. I've never interviewed Bossy, so I don't really know him. Hoodie really believed what he was doing. And everybody was making up as they went along. So there was no real agenda behind it that I saw. It was just people trying to fix a horrible solution quickly. And that's one of our failings, I think. And Indigenous leaders, there's been 3 that have told me that. They said, you guys are thinking like sprinters, looking for the golden bullet. It has to be here somewhere. Look, I found the truth. That's it. We're all free. where I don't think it is that. They've said told me it's a marathon, and that's what I really believe. We're fighting this long, long thing. We've come 40 years of abundance. It's made us a bit chubby, a bit lazy, a bit almost feeling like we're the elite. You know, look how privileged we are as Australians. When now the world is telling us you're worthless, you're in our way, and we will, you know, do things to you if you want. We're actually growing up. And I think now is the time to actually have some humility and go, none of us really know the answers, but all of us know that we're onto something good. We're on the right side of history. But who'll see it? Who'll see the end? I'll probably never see the promised land. I'm just giving my life to this crazy bunch of people here and doing my thing. So I don't really have the answers to those things. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Can I just speak about that? Because I was there.
All right.
Okay, Ling, want to share something, Ling?
Yeah, just in regard...
Half an hour, don't forget.
You're always at that, Colin. Right, well, I was actually there. I actually arrived in Canberra before Epic. I had watched Rod Colleton online, and I decided to go to Canberra for when they were serving the Governor-General with treason. So I was there before. I heard about Epic when I was in Canberra. I couldn't find Rod because he was being harassed and having to move around, and I ended up hearing about the protest when I was in Canberra and decided to stay. So I was there right from the beginning. With Michael, we had a lot of fun. There wasn't just a big protest. There was protests going on everywhere, wasn't there? Every day. And actually some of it was really good fun, wasn't it? We had fun. We had every age group there. There was teenagers, you name it. We're all from different countries, from different parts of Australia, and we got on brilliantly. We were just people gone there with one purpose. But there was an underlying current of problems, which you're going to get. You're going to get people who are going to sneak in and cause problems. And that whole thing, to me, is I have absolute respect for Hoodie and those people who went in and to that meeting. And to me, it was just some stirring up a whole lot of trouble to make things look bad, and nothing bad went on. These are very good people who went there to do the right thing and were doing the best they could. And so having personally been there, and I was also personally there with the money situation, so we first camped in front of the library, which was fun, wasn't it? And yeah, as you said, not long. So then when we moved, we were thrown out of there and we got into Epic. I decided to stay at Epic and help rather than go out on the protests all the time, because there was so much donations coming in and so much food, tents, clothing, you name it, because people just turned up for the night and stayed for the week. So it was amazing, the generosity of people. And there was a bucket out collecting money. And one night I'm thinking, this is not right. There's these two ladies having a drink with this bucket of money, which shouldn't be out this time of night. I found somebody, asked around and found somebody who was in charge. And it took a while, and they said, no, this is not right. And having been involved with finances before, I know that you have to have a number of people, it has to be signed off, it has to be counted. And they said that to me. And yeah, so there was problems. You've got to expect that. There's going to be problems. But yeah, it's just a whole lot of stories made up. The thing between, I always think anybody who starts criticising everybody, watch out for that person. That's my personal opinion. I think you have the same idea. We're not here as a group to be criticising each other. We're, as you said, we're all different. Let's just support each other, have a hug. Yeah, so I just wanted to leave it at that. That's just.
Can I just add to this?
Yeah.
This is what we say about division. Like, people going, oh, we got this one, you know, this one's a fraud, and they attack. I've had attacks. Everyone I know in the freedom movement who gets prominent has had attacks. Well, the thing is, my novel is called Goodbye Road because we were kicked out of society. We were the orphans of Goodbye Road. There is no other orphanage waiting to adopt you. Okay? So if we've got problems, I suggest we sort them out. I actually think, why don't we set up little, like what the mob does, where they have little sit-downs, get a little council together. If you've got a problem with someone, you've got a problem with, sit them down, even online, let's try sort it out. But stop airing our dirty washing online. Because the people need to think that we are strong. The people need to think we are together. And we are strong. And we should be together. We've got to stop being petty. And if there's someone that continues to try to divide us, you've got to ask them, is someone paying them to do it? Because how do we benefit by taking this small group and making it smaller? I don't understand any benefit to it except someone's been paid. So to me, all these problems are solvable. And like I said again, like we're good mates, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
That's, that we keep pushing ahead. And we keep sharing what is good about us. There's bad about everything, but there's good about us. And to show you one thing, how much reach, Nicholas Herschel, I think, that guy in America, he did the other day something that we've been doing in Australia now for a long time. We get to groups and we say, stand up if you know of anyone who's been killed by COVID. No one stands up. And then we stand up if you know of anyone who's been injured or killed by the vax, and the room stands up. Well, they're doing it in America now. That came from Australia. This is good shit.
Can I just say something about that?
We need to come up we need to line up with everyone.
All it is, it was the government that
So can you line up with everyone, please, and you can have a go? Yeah. Please, Tim.
Thank you, Michael, for today's talk. That was awesome. I just want to ask you regarding that culture that you were after. You were travelling around and asking people about the culture that we have here in Australia and all that kind of thing. Yeah, could you elaborate on that and tell us what were the findings of that?
So we started a thing of doing culture. I really felt that we were something unique, and we need, I think, if you go back in history, they dig up a civilization from 1,000 years ago, they look for the art to try and understand what sort of people these people were based on their art. And I thought, well, if people look back to who we were, where is our art? You know, and it can be anything. And so that's why I started culture. And it's one of those things that was going well for a while, and then it got blacklisted by the government, so no one could find the page. But for a period we were, and we're still ebbing and flowing going through it. In fact, Emily James, who did Don't Welcome Me to My Country, is premiering a song that I wrote on AI about a family that was wiped out by the COVID jab. It's a ballad, and it's an AI song, but now she's got a human cover. And so hopefully that does well. And I think there is great hope and promise in art, because even Yuval Harari says this about Israel. Israel is just a pile of rocks. The reason people fight and die for it is because of the stories. And you guys, each of you, is a heroic story. Each of you. That is an unrecognised product we have for the world. Every single one of you. Even if you hate others in the group, you're still a heroic story in yourself. This is stuff that we can be selling. This is why I urge you to start getting it down. In the future, your little stories could just ripple through history and maybe change the world. You don't know. But what I know, if you don't write it down, then your history will be erased. And there's another group that this happened to called the Edelweiss Pirates. Now, who knows who they are? Okay? When Hitler was taking power, the Edelweiss Pirates were us. They were people who stood up against the authoritarian regime. But they descended into infighting, to pettiness. They couldn't get themselves organised, and they're literally eradicated from history. So that is something that's possible to happen to us too. But I think that the fact that it happened to them and we got their story means we can go, well, we don't want to go that route, so how do we not go that route? And the way not to go that route is to get over our division and respect each other for the fact that we have differences of opinion and see that as a great strength. A great strength. Because we were debating last night with two different opinions at this party. I was with Yvonne's and Gustav, and we arrived at certain conclusions. We came closer. So, they're my thoughts on that anyway.
Thanks, Michael. And Helen wants to ask something too, say something.
It's only a very quick question, but it was in regards to Epic. It's very similar to maybe Melbourne with the bullets that were fired at the people. At Epic, they had the radiation that was...
Yeah, there's a lot of people injured.
And there was... But that's sort of been really forgotten. A lot of people were injured because of that, and that wasn't out of your control, and that's what we're up against. Is that those that sort of power.
Yeah, there's...
That's all I wanted to sort of mention, because...
Just to add to that, most gatherings I've been to, not here because a lot of people from WA couldn't get across, but people were seriously injured. They left Epic and they couldn't drive their cars. And when they got back to the real world, the GPs told them you've got radiation poisoning. Now, some people think it's the LRAD. There's a lot of people thinking they had another weapon. And I've met people that had half their face was sunburnt, or the lower face with this. One man who was burnt underneath his clothes, he was wearing, he actually died of it. And so we've got people whose hair fell out. The government used weapons against us. So when we're out there, we have collected these stories, but that's all we can do. You know, no one seems to be interested. But that's when we went there. We went there to say, hey, listen to us. You know, we don't want to give away our freedom. And they used horrendous weapons on us. At some point in history, hopefully that comes out. And it's one of the crimes of our nation.
Just, that was at government
Please, Colin.
house, not Epic, actually, was just to clarify.
I think it happens with Epic as well.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. Good stuff.